Hello, it's me again. Hi. Coming back to you still as disheveled as ever because I am a mess. But like I had a really good month for productivity, but it wasn't on the project I was supposed to work on this month. So we're gonna get into that. I'm gonna still awkwardly hold a mic. It's gonna be great. So let's begin. What was I supposed to work on this month? Well, it was supposed to be this table runner that I didn't do anything with. I don't even think I actually pulled it out. I think I just like left it in its bin. I just didn't want to work on it, which was part of it. But I also, because I've hit my 5 projects for the year that I had initially wanted, so I feel like a lot of the pressure is off. So now I'm like more working on stuff to be like, hey, I want to do things. But this is it. This is not like a long-term, not a long-term, but this isn't a hard to finish project, I should say. It's just that I haven't sat down and finished it. And so I'm feeling fine about it. I'm feeling good. It's just I didn't focus my energies on that. What did I focus my energies on? Well, the first week of August, I was actually away and went on vacation, and I happened to be able to bring my sewing machine with. So I was actually able to get about close to 20-ish hours of pretty hardcore sewing done. Part of that was getting some progress on this quilt. This is the feathers quilt that I always refer to as Joe's quilt. I got 3 of the feathers with 2 of the like sashing pieces in, along with getting all the rows of feathers done and getting the sashing cut. So a lot of that stuff's been good. I am now at a point where this is just a lot of long stitches, which is often where my quilts kind of stagnate really hard, is because I hate doing stitching over like 14 inches or so. I hate pinning, which is really the curse of this issue. But when I have to pin really long pieces together to make something work, I get really frustrated. And it usually turns me off so much because I'd rather be making the thing than just pinning it all together. I know pinning is important. I just want to make that very clear. I understand that I like need to pin and that it's very important to make my projects look good, make them work out well, all that jazz. I know that. I just I don't like it. Anyways, this has had progress though. I'm very pleased. I was really honestly hoping that I would get this top done while I was there, and that did not happen because it kept driving me nuts, and I was just mentally like not going to force myself to do it because that's not what I wanted to do. In other news, I finished I didn't finish, but I got the top done of my first foundation paper pieced item. I don't know what angle looks better because we're dealing with natural lighting and yellow lighting again because I just refuse to do anything about my setup. But this is, I'd have to look up the pattern. I will try to remember to put it on screen or something. And then I'm pretty good about trying to put stuff in the description, so feel free to look there. But this is my first foundation paper pieced project I've ever done. I am incredibly pleased with it. I actually really enjoyed the process. I thought it was really fun. I am no longer scared of it. I thought this turned out really nicely. There was a couple times where I misunderstood what pieces were supposed to go where. It happens. I'm not particularly upset about that. I think the colorings and everything looked really, really cute, and I'm pleased with the results, and I would do this again, which is good because I have multiple patterns that require foundation paper piecing, which also means I get to work on those finally. So yeah, overall, it was good. I'm really happy. It was a nice small project too. I don't think I realized this going into it, that it was a fussy enough thing that I had enough work to do for quite a few hours, but it was a small enough project that I actually didn't feel overwhelmed at any point. Again, we don't have those like 14-inch, I'm not sewing a 20-inch border to 3 feet, 5 feet border on this thing, which is really nice. And so I was very pleased with that. I don't know how I'm going to quilt this. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to make it into some sort of wall hanging. Is it going to forever stay with me? Probably not. This isn't really my style. The coloring is nice. I love pinks and stuff. And I do love swallows and chickadees. I think they're super cute. They're one of my favorite birds. I think they're just because they're common, so they remind me of home kind of idea. they're just like a nice, easy bird on my eyes. So I really like them. But I don't think this is going to be a forever thing for me. I do also have to learn how to make a nice knot, some sort of knot for embroidery. If you know of a good embroidery knot, I would love to know what that is because I don't know. But yeah, I have to learn one knot so I can put eyes on them. And then that piece is like ready to get quilted and all set up to be done. The other thing I worked on while there was a very small and fast table runner. I think this table runner is from 2022 Shop Hop from Minnesota. The Minnesota 2022 Shop Hop. I think I bought it in 23 though. I happened to see it in one of the stores. I really liked it. I like that they played with the colors in a fun way. The other project I worked on this month will not be featured physically because I finished it at like 4 a.m. the day of the thing I was going to. I made a baby quilt. I will try to put pictures somewhere. I think here is usually where I like to edit them. Baby quilts. Yeah, cool. So this baby quilt that I did, I made for my cousin who is expecting a baby, had a baby shower that was coming up. I had this top quilt I had done last August, actually. I don't know if I featured it in a video or not, but I did have this top done last year. Finally quilted it though, like at 4 a.m. the day of the shower and brought it in. It turned out great. I loved the quilting on it. I'm glad I went with the quilting I did. It looks really cute. It's nice and simple where I wasn't super stressed out. And I didn't want... when I make quilts, I don't want parents to stress out about like getting, baby spit up on the quilts. And so I like simple quilts. But I also knew this family would appreciate the quilt. It's a very cute quilt, little woodland creatures and everything, as you saw. In other news, technically, I am filming in September and I technically did these in September, but I do want to discuss my scrap processing because I think that's kind of important, for me at this point in the year because I have been super stressed by my scrap bin this year, and going through the scraps and trying to work through them has been incredibly helpful the last month. I wish to get through some of my scraps because they're getting a bit overwhelming. The drawer they're in isn't fully shutting properly. I haven't fully sorted my scraps this year. I have done sorts in the past, but this year I haven't done an updated kind of taking everything that I keep throwing in there without sorting and like redoing it. So part of this was also just so that I could see what was in there. I'm still not fully sorted, but I have made a ton of progress on a couple of projects that I'm working on. So one of those things is that I make log cabin scraps. I'm pretty sure I've shown these before. They're not exciting in any sense of the words. But these are just little log cabins. They finish at about 8.5. I've just tossed through them pretty quickly, and I cut the smallest I use is a 1.5 inch strips. 1.5 inches squared is the smallest I will use. So anything below that I chuck away and it goes bye-bye. I know some people are like, that is absolutely horrendous and terrible. I just mentally can't do that, and I have to have a limit, and that's my number, and I just go with it. If I knew of somebody near me or who was like if I was in a guild or something and I knew somebody would use them, I would happily give, my smaller scraps to them. I'm just not a person who can hold on to them for the what if, and I know there's a ton of environmental stuff. I'm doing the best that I mentally can handle with my fabric. I'm not trying to waste it, but I also mentally cannot take it having a ton of little scraps. So there is that. But yeah, I don't try to make these perfect, in the sense of like what fabric goes with what. The only rule I really set with these is that they can't have a repeating fabric. So I try not to have the same fabric show up in the same block. And that's the only rule I've really set for myself for these. Otherwise, this one was fun just because it ended up being fairly blue. I did kind of pick out fabrics as I went for this, but I'd been working on my other blue scrap quilts. So that's why that one ended up being more blue. I do find that it's really important to allow myself to just have a thing where I just let random chance be random chance. And that's actually allowed for some really cool blocks. I don't know exactly what my goal is for this one. I think the last time I talked about this one, I even mentioned that I don't know where I'm going to end up with this. I'm excited to make this. I should probably put sashing and stuff so it doesn't like overwhelm the person, you know, who ends up seeing this quilt, but I just don't know exactly what's happening. The other quilt I am working on is just an incredibly scrappy 2.5 inch block quilt, and I am working on a bunch of 6x6 2.5 inch blocks, I guess. I quilt in a lot of blues. Blues are very nice to quilt with. I tend to lean towards blue fabrics without really realizing it. I also live with somebody whose favorite color is blue. So if I make him a quilt at all, typically it's got some sort of blue in it. I really like how the fabrics are starting to turn out. I've been doing quite a few of these. Again, my only rule for these has been don't repeat the same pattern in the block. We'll see when I start setting them up how many I end up doing. I think I want this to be 5x6, so a total of 30 blocks I think is my goal. It's been really good. I'm very happy with the process, and I'm happy that it's been going well. The other quilt that I'm almost done with, I believe I updated you guys last month. This quilt with the green and the blue. This one also is 2.5 inch blocks. This one has been really nice process, which is also I think really what kicked off everything to like make me want to get through some more of my scraps, is because I was like, this has been awesome, but now it's stuck in this again. It's like over 20 inches and I don't want to put them together, but it's in this like little 4-square setup that I need to just like do the last couple seams and it'll be done. But we're not there yet, and I need to get there. I'm very close, but it's just not quite there. I've talked about how I redid my like fabric stash and stuff. With the fabric that I curated, I still have that big box of fabric that I wasn't my main stash. I don't know how else to say it. It's like a secondary stash. It's the backup stash. It's the, if it sells to my friends, cool. It's the fabric I'm not as in love with. I'm more likely to part with it for the right reasons. While my primary stash has gotten much smaller, it's been really nice knowing, okay, well, if I don't have my first loves aren't working for what I want, let's go see if there's anything else. And it's been kind of nice to have like a secondary shop through of fabric and in smaller chunks. So this is like easier. I'm blocking it literally. This has been easier, the small little area. And then this, yes, I can't. My brain cannot do this. But this has been actually a lot easier to like sit down and go through and be like, what do I actually own? What do I have here? I still haven't counted how much I have. Multiple reasons. Partly now, I just feel better about my stash having like the secondary kind of whatever stash. And I know that's not great, but that's kind of what it's turned into at this point. I know I still own it and it's still my stuff, but it feels kind of like removed from me, which is really nice. And I don't think that makes sense. But somebody else, let me know if you understand what I mean. And it's not like I'm rediscovering it every time I open it either. It's not like I stashed it away and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, look at all this new fabric. It's not that. It's just like, it's been really nice to know that like if something happened to it, I don't care. Like if I got rid of it, whatever. I don't know, man. Yeah, it's been really nice though having the like secondary pile to go to and be like, well, if I have something here, that would be great. Because then I don't have to go shopping. For the baby quilt I did this month, I did go shopping. I had backing picked out. I wasn't really loving it. It was more just to get the quilt finished. I like these monarchs and I think they're really pretty and I think it would have worked. The problem is that I just didn't love it for that quilt in particular. Like it wasn't like perfect in my head, and for what was going on, I was like, I would rather go and buy fabric. I ended up with like kind of a grungy brown. I know it's not like a moda grunge. It was just kind of, I don't know. They're not actual solids. They're just kind of like modeled like watercolory or something. I don't know. And it's not a batik. I'm not good at explaining what I buy and what fabrics I get, and I need to like get better about like, this is this collection and this brand, and I'm not good at that. I'm trying so hard to be upfront about what patterns I use, and I can't remember any of those ever if I'm not like prepared, which clearly I'm not today. I don't know if you guys are interested at all. I would be happy to go through every single kit I own and just be like, these are things that I have existing at this point that I need to get through. If that's of interest, let me know. I have so many projects that are whips and stuff that like we could go through and be like, this is where this is at, and this is the status of it, and this is this project, and this is the status of it. If that's something of interest, please let me know. If you have any questions about projects I've been working on, let me know. I don't know what September is. I'm sure the video is up on Quilted Forest. I'm semi-scared to find out what the number is because everything else for the rest of the year, I believe, is really large projects. And I'm not really that interested in any of them. Okay, no, I lied. There's like maybe one project on this list that I'm actually interested in doing. The rest I'm kind of like, do I have to? 2 of them would just be quilting them. I think I went over this a little bit more last month if you are interested about what patterns and what I still have to do. But the panel quilt, the Disney Villains one, I'm not excited about. I think the feather quilt, I could make progress on it, and I think I should make progress on it. I keep avoiding it. The one I'm kind of excited about is the unicorn one, the big one that I've had for a while, mainly because that would start small again before I start getting it bigger because I have to cut all the pieces. And I am somebody who typically loves cutting fabric. I've met people who are like, cutting fabric's the worst part. I love pre-cut stuff, which is probably why I'm like not as big of a fan of like charm packs and jelly rolls. I can't, y'all. I cannot do jelly rolls. They are off grain most of the time, and that drives me up the wall. I don't want your off grain cuts. I don't want them. I'd rather cut it myself. So that drives me crazy. But I know so many people who are like jelly rolls and charm packs, layer cakes. Oh my gosh, love them. They're the best. I cannot get enough of them. And I am sitting over here like, you guys are all insane. Like, insane. I want to cut my fabric. I think there's also a part of me, because I went to school for fashion and stuff, where like grain line is so important to me, and I'm not the person pulling out one thread to find out if everything's on grain. It needs to be close enough though. And the problem with pre-cuts is I don't get to have that choice. So if it's off grain by quite a bit, I don't get to make the choice of, let me square it up. I can usually do that with a fat quarter. A lot of patterns have just enough wiggle room that I can, straighten up one of the sides, get it back on grain, and then do all my cutting, which is really nice. Not every pattern is like that. It's one of those things where I want to do it myself. And that's the biggest problem with panels, is that often they are printed off grain. And so this unicorn quilt has actually been a little bit of a mixed one, where I have sometimes been like, yes, I would like to work on this. And other times I'm like, I really don't want to work on something that's going to be off grain. Like, I just don't want to do it. So that's kind of the thing. But I think I would be open to some fussy cutting and like really taking my time cutting something, because I've had to do so much sewing and so much like work on things that I'm just like not interested in. The other thing is, I believe I can do live streams. So if there is any interest in like a craft with me live stream, come join me, chat, crafting time, probably even a study time to it. If you were like, I'm happy to just sit and sew, and like you can watch somebody make stuff, and or you could just like sit and do your own project and like hang out. I'm not particularly chatty though without people talking to me. That is the one thing I've noticed. I've tried to do a couple things like on Instagram or something before. It just it's not my jam. I'm happy to just like silently work there with a camera on. That's fine. But I don't know if that's something that like other people would enjoy. Full disclosure, probably not happening in September. My September is looking very busy already, and I don't even know what my project of the month is. So probably not September. And then I know we're going to the holidays. I don't know. You let me know if this is even of interest, though. I think it would be very fun to do, but I would need to know, you can lurk. I don't care if you talk to me, but just know I'm not very chatty. Are you okay just listening to a sewing machine run? If you're cool with that, let's do it. But I don't know. Are you? And if you are, I would probably film more stuff and just have really weird videos of you want to watch somebody just sew for 2 hours? Sure, man. I'll swear every now and then. That's about as exciting as it'll get, because I'll be like, that didn't work. So, yeah, anyways, I should go. Thank you so much for joining me today. Stay crafty. Stay doing all your things. Happy sewing in all of your adventures. And y'all, it is September. We have 4 more months, and then we get to do a little something, maybe. I don't know, a wrap up. We'll see if I continue enough throughout this year. I think this is about where I stopped last year, so I think I'm doing better this year, which is nice. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you guys, hopefully, in September to have another update of possibly nothing. Because September looks disgusting for me. Too busy. Bye. I have also been fantasizing about a long arm. Just gonna throw that out there.